Hi, everyone, and welcome to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with WendyKLaidlaw. Wendy has spent the last 2 years helping women with various stages of endometriosis to heal naturally after putting her condition into remission. After her own healing success from stage 4 endometriosis and adenomyosis, she's inspired to heal others, and her goal is to help some of the 175 million women know that there is another way other than painkillers, drugs, or surgery. This is the place to be for real talk with real people for real results, so you can learn how to heal your endometriosis naturally. Please note that the opinions expressed in this program may represent options, but are not a substitute for proper medical care. Before starting any new healthcare program, we recommend you consult with a health professional.
It's WendyKLaidlaw here from Heal Endometriosis Naturally, and as always, I hope that this podcast message finds you well. Now, today I'm going to be talking about the power of protein, and you may have noticed throughout my podcasts, I try to kind of keep to the theme of talking about emotions and feelings and those sort of subconscious elements that invariably we're not aware of on this journey. But, you know, I'm aware that out of the 5 Ps, and, you know, if I talk about the 5 Ps, are the 5 poisons: produce, products, property, people, and past, that as I say, I don't talk very much about the first 3, because in my opinion, and on my own journey, and certainly working with women, the produce and the products and the property are pretty easy, if you like. And I say easy in inverted commas, but they're easily understood and they're easily kind of swapped out, and these kind of lifestyles kind of integrated into one's everyday habits. What tends to be the biggest challenge, I find, is this acknowledgement of the emotional journey, you know, the people in the past that's maybe sitting down deep under the level of consciousness. And that's why my podcasts tend to be based around those things, because that was the hardest element for me to really address or even acknowledge in any way, shape, or form, because of my very dominant perfectionist parts and pusher parts and people-pleasing parts. So, but I do understand that, you know, and I hope you understand as well, that there are 5 elements that we need to look at. It's not just one thing. And if, as I mentioned last week, if you haven't achieved the results that you've hoped to achieve from just swapping around your food and changing your diet, it's because there are these other 4 elements: produce, products, property, people, and past. So please do not embark on this Heal Endometriosis Naturally journey thinking it's just one thing. That's the mistake I think we all make. And our culture and our society just feeds into that quick fix, one wave of a magic wand and everything's all fan-dabby-dozy again. Of course, it doesn't work like that. But having said that, I was aware that recently I needed to update my cookbook. It'd been sort of 5 or 6 years since I produced the last one. And I also wanted to kind of make it really super clear as well that when I talk about eating and produce, I'm talking about eating food that our great grannies would have eaten, and that would have incorporated a wide range of natural, healthy meats and fruits and nuts and things like that as well. So I just think there's a lot of women on this journey get a lot of misinformation, as I said last week, and a lot of that misinformation is that you have to go vegan to put your condition in remission. That is not my belief. Again, if you have your own belief in that, that's absolutely fine. But what I found, again, is the women that I work with and on my own journey, there are essential amino acids that are required, for example, like L-carnitine in red meat and things like that, that are really important, that we need to help heal our bodies. I think what can sometimes happen in a woman with endometriosis with her body is that she can actually become avoidant of red meats and find them difficult to absorb, because she doesn't actually have enough of her own digestive enzymes, or she's in such a chronic state of fight, flight, freeze, fold, and stress, perpetual long-term continued stress, that her body's actually not able to break these things down. That again was my journey. I just couldn't eat meat. I wanted to eat meat. I couldn't eat it because I couldn't break it down. I couldn't digest it. And then after that, it became I couldn't break down fish, and I couldn't break down chicken because I was in such a high chronic state of stress back then. And what tends to happen is when you're in a prolonged period of high levels of stress, your amazing body doesn't think that you really need to focus on your digestion at that particular point. It's putting all its energy into producing cortisol and adrenaline, pushing all that blood and oxygen into your legs and heart to get you to run away from that saber-tooth tiger equivalent. So your digestive system tends to slow down or become less efficient anyway when you're in long-term chronic stress. So again, I'm hoping you can see that how this can all kind of pan out, that the idea of eating protein, meat, chicken, fish, etc., can really start to put a lot of effort onto the body. And again, some people can find that they get really tired and exhausted after eating solid proteins. And the reason that is your body has to work a lot harder to break these substances down. Hence why the women I work with, I recommend digestive enzymes and betaine hydrochloric, doing the baking soda test. All of that's in my book if you need to know more. So I kind of want to talk about the power of protein. So again, I appreciate if you've been given a lot of misinformation, mixed information. There is so much information now on the internet, you can just feel overwhelmed. And again, you know, as a prerequisite here, I always share what worked for me. Again, it's your journey, your body. So always do just keep testing and tweaking and journaling about what works for you. Keep a food monitor sheet, keep a record of what you eat, how your body likes it, how whether you got bloated or indigestion or flatulence or anything like that afterwards. Your body will tell you whether it likes certain foods or not. And as I said, protein in particular is pretty tough on the body to break down. However, this is why I recommend my power shakes, because you can actually get what powdered protein, which is almost like in a pre-digested form. So it makes it much easier for the body to break it down and to be absorbed into your bloodstream and into your body so it can do what it wants to do, which is to heal itself. So in my new cookbook that's coming out next Friday, the 20th of May, there's going to be, and I changed the cover photo and everything. I put fish and I put meat on the front because I wanted to make it super, super clear to anyone and everyone who might be a vegan. Again, you can buy this book and just remove like the meat components, but this is not just designed, this is not designed for vegans. This is designed for women who want to incorporate a whole balanced eating regime, eating habits that are going to allow for all the different components and elements that a body needs to heal. And protein is really important. It's interesting when women first, come through the supported Endoboss Academy, and me and my team are looking at their food monitor sheets, every week, and it's always the same. And this is not to shame or blame anyone, but it's always the same because I was exactly the same. I barely ate, as I mentioned earlier, any protein because it was so hard to break down and digest. So this is where keeping a record of what you're eating and making sure that you are eating enough protein. Now, as I say, if you're struggling to eat a lot of solid protein, then do consider supporting your body. Again, it will take a little bit of adjustment to support your body in a way that's going to allow you to really get a sense of what your body likes and what it doesn't like. Now, that the power of protein goes beyond just all these like L-carnitine, but your body needs a full spectrum of amino acids. Now, amino acids are the building blocks of your cells. Again, I fully underestimated the impact of eating protein. But it's like anything. You start to adapt, you start to adapt and change your eating habits to adapt and change to how your body's feeling or how you're feeling or how your digestion is. And if you're under a lot of stress, you tend to kind of want to go for sugar and carbs because you're looking for that dopamine and that oxytocin and the serotonin hits because you're just feeling overwhelmed. Especially if you're in a lot of pain. If you're listening to these podcasts, I'm assuming that you're either just starting your journey or you're well into your journey and you may not be fully out of pain yet. And during those painful times, you're looking for a release from that pain. So this is where, again, I get that you may just grab for that cookie and grab for those cakes and grab for those high sugary carb things. Now, what I'm going to suggest and remind you all, which is really important, is to avoid wheat flour at all costs. Now, please do check the gluten-free products that are out there, because I picked up one, a very well-known brand the other day, and I always go and check the ingredients, because these companies, whilst they might make a claim on the front, it may not necessarily back it up on the back. And I noticed that they had, they state their products as gluten-free, but then it had wheat starch, gluten-free wheat starch. So it's the wheat that you want to avoid because that causes the greatest irritation and inflammation in the digestive tract. So when it comes back to protein, as I say, if you've got a very inflamed and irritated digestive tract because maybe you've been on painkillers or drugs or antibiotics and your intestines are really, you'll know if your intestines are really inflamed and irritated, if you have pain at bowel movements, if you if you find that you get bloating and things like that as well after eating, then your body's going to need just some additional support on that. But what you're looking to do is really increase your protein intake. This is why I wanted to do this today. And this is why, again, with my new cookbook, there's lots of ideas of how you can incorporate that, because when I first heard about that, I felt a bit overwhelmed. I was worried, like, okay, I need to eat more protein, but how do I eat more protein when my digestive system's impaired and inflamed and irritated, and I struggle to break down the protein? So again, there's going to be ideas and things in there for you. But as I say, one of the best, the quickest and most fun way to introduce protein into your diet really, really easily is by doing so in the morning and having either a rice protein or pea protein or a combination of both to get the best amino acids in a power shake in the morning, and trying to incorporate that every single day. Your body needs, I think it's 100 milligrams of protein a day. I may have that figure wrong, but I know it's a significant amount that you need to consume every day just to allow your body to regenerate and repair in the way that you need it to do. You need to get your body out of a fight, flight, freeze, fold, stress state. So that's where your journaling is going to be really supportive to you and really allow you the opportunity to explore in ink, on paper, what might be going on subconsciously, emotionally, even spiritually, what's happening in your relationships, what's happened in the past that might be just triggering you and stirring you up and causing anxiety or anything like that. And then equally making sure that you are, what I refer to in my programs as parenting yourself, really like thinking ahead each day. Don't wait till, you're at work to think, I haven't got anything to eat and I don't know what to eat, and then grab for that wheat sandwich or that wheat cake or that wheat cookie, because then you're going to be in pain. And as I explained to my students or my clients that come through my programs, wheat is one of the most offensive foods, and of course, unfortunately, it's in abundance everywhere. And that goes for certain proteins as well, like sausages and things like that might be bulked full of wheat flour. So do make sure, whilst I'm encouraging you to really widen your expansion and awareness, as to just ask yourself the question, just pay attention, just either get an app that you can incorporate and make a note of what you're eating every day. There's some great apps out there, or make a note in your note section in your phone, just kind of what protein did you have and how much. Again, if you look at the back of any packaging, you'll see, it will give you a weight or a quantity, but you are really looking to ensure that you have protein with every single meal, every single time you eat. And if you're eating, ideally, if depending on your digestive system, you're looking probably to have 5 small meals a day. So your breakfast, a break, lunch, a break, and supper. And again, if you're hungry later, then eat. But if you can eat little and often, it really helps the body. It supports the body because it stops it having long periods of fasting and then a big meal, that might then struggle to break down, especially if it's solid protein like meat or chicken or fish or turkey or pheasant or all these other meats and things that are out there. Now, I know that I just kind of want to touch on this because I know there's a lot of, again, misinformation out there. My view is, and this is what helped me on my journey, and I've been pain-free and symptom-free for years now, all my conditions. My view is as if, I incorporated the kind of caveman, cavewoman mentality. If, keeping my eating as simple as possible, as less complicated as possible, ideally out of packaging or tins, not having any of these foods that are in packaging or tins, having things as fresh and as healthy as possible. Now, our great ancestors would have eaten in moderation and eaten as fresh as possible. So that's kind of what we're aiming. Now, equally, they might not have had a lot of meat because they might have had one kill, if you like, and that would have done them for a few days. And then they might have gone for a certain period of time before they would have been able to, to have any form of meat again. Now, my view is if an animal has been killed humanely and has had a good life up until that point, and then I'm okay with that. Now, I know some people aren't, and that's fine. You're allowed to have your own views on that. But equally, so make sure if you are having meat, you're supporting your local farms, your farmers, you're supporting the kind of the free range organic element of the food chain, because then what you're doing is you're kind of taking the money away from that fast processing of what is really cruel and inhumane for animals that are going through these factory farmings and things as well. So again, I'm okay with that. Just make sure that you check in with yourself. I know that if I'm going to have any meat or chicken or fish, I'm going to have the Atlantic salmon, I'm going to have the free range organic chicken that's not fed corn, and I'm going to have the meat that is outdoor reared and has a good life before it's humanely killed. So again, I'm just putting this out there because I know some people are very staunch and strong in these things, which is great. It's absolutely fine. You're allowed to. But equally, those that are a bit scared and sitting on the fence, like, does it make me a bad person if I eat meat and protein? No, of course it doesn't. So make sure to seek the best quality food that you can get, ideally hormone-free, antibiotic-free meats and things. They can be really, really lovely. Now, again, if your digestive system is impaired and you've had lots of irritation, inflammation, surgeries, painkillers, and drugs, then you're going to need to support your body's absorption of the protein. So do consider taking digestive enzymes, again, capsules, not tablets, because they're harder to break down, and make sure there's no additives or preservatives or any wheat or anything or soy in these things as well. But protein is an essential part. And as I say, I don't talk a lot about the food and the produce because they're pretty easy. The biggest thing that I mention is please avoid wheat at all costs. I cannot stipulate that enough. The wheat is what gives you the pain up the rectum. It's what gives you that dragging sensation. It causes so much irritation and inflammation. And protein is not your enemy. Protein is going to give you the power to regenerate and repair in your cells. And I think even just by increasing your awareness, say even over the next few days and next week, you can really get a sense of whether or not you are eating enough protein. And as I say, it's making sure you're eating enough protein, but also making sure you're able to digest the protein that you're eating. And this is where the Power Protein Shake is really important. So again, consider incorporating that. I've got some new ideas, pretty much. If you already bought my first edition, it's been fully revised and updated. I've got 131 recipes in there, and you'll see, again, I tend not to be a huge fan of pulses and beans and things like that as well, because that can cause sometimes some of them can be phytoestrogens, which can cause irritation again in the intestinal tract, and can be quite hard to digest. So there are lots of ideas in there, recipes, juices, shakes, all these kind of things, soups, all these things to make it really easy. Because I know on my journey, I used to struggle thinking, how am I going to incorporate more protein? How am I going to incorporate more vegetables? And there are some proteins in vegetables, but we're looking for a nice cross section of protein so that your body can really start to do what it needs to do, which of course is to heal itself. Now, as I say, the second edition cookbook is due out next Friday. And because I want this to get into your hands and to make it as easy for you to eat as possible, because the eating and the produce and the property are the kind of the easiest parts. This is why I spend most of my time on the podcast talking about the emotions and the different types of people in the past. I want to get this book into your hands, this paperback book into your hands for the best price possible. Now, for one day only, on Friday, the 20th of May, it's going to be at 50% off. I'm actually going to make nothing at all on this book, and I want you to get this into your hands so that you feel inspired. And I take you through from breakfast to snacks, to lunch, to dinner, to soups, to smoothies, to all sorts of different things. I give you my my mindset, my approach, my philosophy surrounding food, because again, I used to have a very funny relationship with food. It was something that was really challenging to me to kind of, I think, just to eat. And I recognize now it's just because I was in such a stressful household. I just didn't want to eat. I remember thinking if I could just take a capsule or a supplement that would be my dinner or my food, I'd be really happy. Now, obviously, as I've gone on my journey, I recognize the importance of super clean, good quality food, and of course the power of protein. So as I say, this cookbook is coming out next Friday. I really hope that you can get it. It's going to be on Amazon. I'll be doing another podcast to remind you and to let you know that it's going to be up. It's going to be going live next Friday, so that you can get all these ideas of how to eat easily and in a fun way as well. Because actually, once you kind of start to once you start to consume, for example, protein, for me, protein in the morning allows me to think, it gives me clarity, it sets me up for the day. Then you can start to have fun with food. Food shouldn't be a faff, and it shouldn't be exhausting and draining. It should be something that's fun and enjoyable and easily digestible. So remember, what we're doing on this endometriosis naturally journey is looking at all these components. And as I say, the produce and the products are the easiest parts. The past and the people and the emotional part tends to be a bit more challenging. But I think if you're here listening to this podcast, then you're probably streaks ahead of me anyway, and already kind of understand the emotional component. So that is me for today. But make sure that when you are starting to pay attention to what you're eating, that you're planning ahead. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Again, this was where I fell down loads. I would just kind of go by the seat of my pants and think, I'll grab something on the go. Please don't do that. Don't do a me. Plan ahead as to what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat. Have you got enough in the cupboards and on the shelves? Remember, there's all these fantastic online shopping experiences now. Even Amazon do them as well. So make sure to get things delivered, and just start to experiment. Once you've got your energy and you can think after you've had your power shake in the morning, then start to think, what else can you eat that is going to just give you the power of the protein, to give the amino acids. It's going to help to fast track your body into a healing state, and avoiding meat at all costs. So keep making sure that you are looking after yourself. You're keeping yourself a priority, and I will speak to you soon. Take care. To your health. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Heal Endometriosis Naturally with WendyKLaidlaw. And I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and rate us. If you're interested in learning more, you can download your top 5 jumpstart tips at healendometriosisnaturally.com and jump on the VIP email list. Remember to keep you number one. The world needs a healthy you.